Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to a preview of the upcoming WordPress Dev Camp here at WPStudio. If you are familiar with hearing my voice, but you're not quite sure who I am Benjamin Bradley and the founder of WPStudio. Most of you are probably here because you have attended training of mine in the past or you are current members of WPStudio. And so I just wanted to take just a moment to thank you for taking time out of your Tuesday to join me. It does mean a lot that you come spend some time with me as we talk about training. So what we're going to do today in this first preview, we're going to talk about what's going to happen during the dev camp. Then we're going to do an example lesson, and we're going to dig into the WPQ Scripts concept in WordPress. And then we're going to talk about who has access to the dev camp and all the logistical things that you would need. And we will also I'll keep it open for questions so that if you have any questions, I'll be able to answer them. Just the final logistic piece, we do have a chat room at wpstudio.com/chat. That's wpstudio.com/chat. I'd encourage you to head on over there because I am watching that chat room. You can also use the chat room in the Zoom app. So if you do ask questions there, I'll be able to respond to that. I might not be able to type it, but I will be able to live respond to you. So let's talk about why you're here, the WordPress Dev Camp. So the first thing to know is after 10 plus years of WordPress training, I've been told that I bring a very unique perspective to WordPress training. There's lots of training opportunities out there, but when it comes to explaining or working through complex code, I would say many of us feel sometimes like we have that imposter syndrome where we always feel we're never good enough to be able to advance beyond just basic use of code. So one of the goals that I want to encourage to everyone to walk away from this WordPress Dev Camp is that you will all become comfortable and familiar with some of the advanced functionality of WordPress. And we do this by step-by-step instructions, walking through code, but it's not walking through code in PHP. We're going to walk through that PHP code in English. So we'll explain to you what all the different aspects of code does, how it changes, where you can modify things, as well as which areas to stay away from. By doing this, you're able to begin to put into practice advanced functionalities because you know how to tweak, edit, customize, all those type of things. And the other thing I do want to point out, yes, I have preferences to certain tools, plugins, themes, ways of coding syntax, methodologies. But I will be the first one to tell everybody that one tool or system is not the only way to accomplish a task. And so throughout the WordPress Dev Camp, I may say you can do it this way, but then I'll also point to 2 or 3 possible other ways to accomplish the exact same task. And so some of that will be in the handout, some of them will be beyond that. So without further ado, I just want to break down the 7 sessions, which are going to occur over 15 hours during the week of June 12th through 16th. We'll get into some of the dates here in just a moment. But let's start with the session 1. Session 1 is all about setting up a rock-solid WordPress installation. If you've done some of my more in-depth dev courses, you will know that I do spend a bit of time with the WP config file because there is so much power in this WP config file that most either first year, second year, or even people who have just been assemblers of WordPress sites don't realize there's code snippets, there are ways that you can lock down WordPress, there are ways you can control WordPress all within the WP config file. And it can be done both for new sites as well as well-established sites that can add additional functionality enhancements into the WP config file. This is kind of like the traffic director that will make sure, at a big intersection, all the cars will continue to operate properly. The WP config file is the brain, the traffic controller of our WordPress websites. So that's going to be session 1. It's all about setting up WordPress the right way. Now, this is one of the cool things that I'm so excited about in this WordPress Dev Camp. In the manual that's going to come with this WordPress Dev Camp, and it's already over 130 pages. So it's a monster manual already, all written from scratch. Each session has homework. I know you probably don't want to hear that, but I'm a firm believer that we can all learn by doing. And so one of my desires is to give you those encouragements to learn beyond. And so after each session in the manual, there will be almost like challenges. So some of the challenges will be in setting up your WP config file. Go ahead and set the trash to expire every 7 days. Make sure that you are turning off revisions. And so there'll be these little challenges that you'll be able to go through and add to your own site. But here's where it gets even better. So I'm giving you the challenge. But what I've also got is the completed, essentially, answer key. So when I say, here's your challenge, once you've learned everything you need to learn about the WP config file, here will be like 8 assignments. So you go in and do it, and then I will give you the answer. So I will give you a completed WP config file with those custom settings added in, and then show you as well how you can use a tool called diff merge, which will check the difference between 2 files. And this is a way to reinforce learning. So by the end of this session, if you also take advantage of the homework assignments, you will have gone through each core element of WordPress multiple times. 1, you will have heard it from my voice during the live event. 2, you will see it on the screen. 3, you will have the homework, which is the challenge where you do it from what you learned. And then 4, when you compare it to the answer key. And then if you go beyond that, the 5th time is when you watch a replay. So the goal would be that all the core aspects of being a WordPress user, assembler, developer, pushing beyond just regular WordPress work, you, over those 5 repetitive things, you become more comfortable. So that's one of the neat things that I'm doing a little bit differently for this dev camp, trying to reinforce quality code, quality and professional ways of working with WordPress. So session 2 is all about uncovering the secrets of the WordPress theme. And so we're going to be talking about template hierarchy, working outside the box. A lot of times themes make you sit inside a box. But we'll be dealing with things like post templates. We'll be dealing with creating your own code, content templates, post formats, different things that will display your content from the WordPress database in unique formats. And we will be using the Voce theme, which is part of the WPStudio membership. It's a theme that I've developed over the years. Extremely lightweight with some advanced functionality that you can access. And what I have been told in the past, this theme session, It's going to be a little bit different, but most people will walk away from this session with a firm grasp of how WordPress uses themes to display content. We break it down. We can see how a theme modularizes everything, puts a header off in this file, a footer off in this file, puts the content over here, and then feeds the content based on the type of content, whether it's a page, a post, a custom post type. These are all aspects. Now, Chris, great question. How does the Voce theme compare to the Builder theme? The Builder theme is the structural framework of modules that you can move up and down. The Voce theme is a little more like a traditional WordPress theme, except there are 5 main divs, and so you're really only having to style 5 divs, 5 sections if you want to do that. And you'll also see the Voce theme is much faster than most themes. In fact, when we did some testing recently, the Voce theme was over 150% faster than the default WordPress theme with nothing in it. So it's a really fast theme. It's really tiny. It's only like 136K. Like we're nowhere near a megabyte. But we'll talk about this. And you know what I'm going to do? Because there's a number of you here, I'm going to make Thursday's webinar open to everybody. So this is just a little treat. I just decided to do this while we're talking here. Thursday's webinar, check back in an hour or so to the WPStudio training area. The reason why I want to open this up is I will be using the Voce theme to build a resume site. So you'll get actually some preview of what the Voce theme can do. So I'm going to open that up to everybody. So as we're preparing for the upcoming dev camp, you'll get to see one of the problems with this. So that's session 2, dealing with themes. Session 3 is really why I love WordPress. Because understanding that everything can be extended in WordPress, whether it's through code or whether it's through plugins, you can make WordPress into whatever it is you want. So during this session, we'll be spending some time talking about the best plugins out there. We'll even be building some mini plugins. We'll talk about the functions.php file. I've got tons of new and unique snippets, code snippets that you can use. Now, for those of you who are more familiar with me, I love helping freelancers who work with clients. So many of the code snippets I will provide are something that a freelancer would use to help customize a WordPress site for clients. And so this is all what we're going to do with session 3. Really dig into extending WordPress. Now, what this means is we'll have to talk about the basics of some PHP code. We'll have to talk about action hooks. We'll have to talk about filters. We'll have to talk about how to interact with them. So we'll get into the whole concept of hooks and filters, as well as writing some very basic PHP functionality. If you've never written any PHP, don't worry. I have a slowly building process that over the course of the dev camp, we start with some very basic PHP, we get to a little bit more advanced, but by the end, you should be able to at least recognize some PHP functionality. And then session 4 is probably something many of you are looking for. How do you secure WordPress? There are plenty of security experts and gurus out there, and they write all these blog posts about, oh, this is so horrible, there's a cross-site scripting thing, there's issues with here, but then when you ask them, well, how do you secure WordPress, they say, install this plugin. How is that helpful? Most of us want to know, okay, if I do this setting here, what does that do? And so my desire is to give you the knowledge, regardless of what plugin you want to use, regardless of what code snippets you want to use, that you understand actually the security that's going on behind the scenes, because that gives you, the developer, the freelancer, the freedom to choose how you want to secure your website. So that's going to be a little bit different, because I believe most freelancers, they want to know the why, but they also want to know, show me the easiest way to fix that why. So if I tell you that, all right, so we've got issues with possible multi-login issues over XML RPC. What does that even mean? How does somebody attack my WordPress website with that? And then what can I do to stop it? There is a third reason why I'm doing this session about WordPress security like this. And this is the reason for here. You can know how it works, but by understanding the background, you can communicate to your clients, and you can use that as content to establish yourself in positions of authority, whether it's for your client, whether it's for your blog posts. Talking about security is a great aspect to add to your newsletter you send to your clients. And so if you can explain in more English terms, this is where we're going. And Chris, you've got a great question. For those of you who are new to my training or are unfamiliar, yes, I did spend 8 years with iThemes, building the entire training division. And many of you already have a lot of the iThemes products. That's great. We will be talking about Backup Buddy. We will be talking about iThemes security. And we'll talk about iThemes Sync. I'm coming at it from a training perspective, is I want you to know what's out there and what the options are. And yes, I've got tools, plugins, and themes that I have built because I feel these were areas that were needing to be developed. And we'll talk about where those fit into the place. But I don't want you to feel like, all right, so if Benjamin is over here training at WPStudio, does that mean I have to turn my back on Backup Buddy? Or I think, no, not at all. As I said kind of in that first slide, I want you to know that my end goal is that you get the job done. And if that means using Divi as a theme and page builder helps you get the job done, great, use that. If for some reason you have to use Visual Composer, great. We'll talk about why I personally probably wouldn't use Visual Composer, and I might choose Beaver Builder over that. By understanding the actual analytical difference, I think you as freelancers, developers, assemblers can choose your own path forward. I will always show you the correct WordPress way, not some company's preferred way. Does that help answer that question? I know that's kind of off topic, but I'll always interact with you guys in the chat room. Okay, session 5. We are going to be building a client management plugin. We're not talking about something that competes with Managed WP, WP Remote, Infinite WP, iThemes Sync. We're talking about something that I've been working on for a while, but it's simply just some code snippets that allow you to establish a presence and a communication vehicle in the WordPress site. And so we will build that. And we will talk about how you can add that to the dashboard of each one of your clients, how that could be used to facilitate training for your clients, how you can assist in communication. And so we will be using all the tools that we've learned up to this point, different action hooks, how to add code, how to, build your own custom plugins. And we'll walk away from session 5 with building a client management plugin. In session 6, it's going to be all about SEO. And the awesome thing is, for a while now, I have been working on a code base which brings SEO down to the essentials. It is not a make sure you have the green light on this post and then just press publish, or keep jamming code words into a blog post until you get the value that you're looking for. This handles all your SEO. This handles your integration with social media. This handles even 404 issues that are always a problem with SEO. We'll be talking about how you clean up things from WordPress, and we'll be doing it with the new SEO Studio plugin. But even if you choose to use another plugin, whether it's all-in-one SEO or Yoast SEO, the tools and techniques you learn in this session 6, practical ones. We're not going to be spending a lot of time talking about theory. We're going to actually be doing it on a site. You can apply it to any plugin or any method of using WordPress SEO. Session 7 is all about you as a freelancer. Tips and tricks, tools and resources, where to go from here, from after we finish this dev camp, what to do next, how to take all the knowledge, the fire hose of information over the course of the week, how to apply it into your business, how to put a timeline calendar that will allow you to integrate some of these methods, tools, concepts into your business. And we will also be talking during this session 7 that if you make a calendar and apply it at a quarterly rate, you'll be able to have communication with both your current and past clients, as well as possible future clients, offering new services. The idea of productizing things you learn. So I don't want you just to walk away and say, okay, I learned knowledge. I want to put feet to that knowledge so that when you learn something here at WPStudio, you can apply it to your business to either raise your rates, offer a new service, enhance the capability of your current clients. So there's a lot of things that we will talk about here in this session 7. So I'm sure there are a lot of questions here that when is it? It is June 12th through 16th. So that is 2 weeks from yesterday. And the way I've broken it down, I know there are people over in Europe who are going to be attending. I know there are people on the West Coast. All the times you see here are East Coast time, the Eastern, Standard Time right now. That Monday and Wednesday, there will be a noon and 4 p.m. So that means if you're on the West Coast, don't worry, you only have to wake up at 9 a.m. And that also means by me starting at 4 p.m., for many of you in Europe, I'm trying to at least start it at 10, kind of 10 p.m. for some of you. It may be Eastern Daylight Time now or something like that. So whether, 9 or 10 p.m. And that's the latest. Monday, session 1 is noon, and that's going to be 90 minutes. So I'm going to try and stay within those time frames. We may spill over a little bit. Session 2 will be 2 hours, starting at 4 p.m. On Tuesday and Thursday, they start at noon, but they will be 3-hour sessions. Now, we will take breaks during these sessions, so it's not like you have to sit there or tell the goats they've got to wait before you'll feed them. We will take breaks so you can get up, change, grab a new cup of coffee, stretch your legs. But this is how it looks. Starting Monday, noon, 4 p.m. on Monday, 2 hours. Tuesday, noon, 3 hours. Wednesday looks just like a Monday, noon and 4 p.m. Thursday is noon. And then Friday is noon, but it's only 2 hours, not the 3 hours. So this is 15 hours. But what else comes with this course? We've got the interactive chat room. So we'll have a whole DevCamp hub area that should be helpful, and the logs will be included in the after session. The DevCamp manual is currently 130 plus pages, and that includes things like the course challenge questions after each session, which hopefully, if you either have been taking it live or watching the replay and you're looking at the manual, you'll be able to use those homework assignments or refresher assignments to take what you've learned and put it into practice. And they're all there. And so we've got code snippets, lots of code snippets that you'll be able to use immediately, and you'll be able to even copy and paste out of the PDF. And then I will also have links to locations, kind of a code snippet library that you can use. And then, because we're going to have 2 or 3 sites we're working on, and after we build certain areas of the site, I am going to be providing every single person who is in attendance, as well as in the replay, a backup buddy export file with a standalone import buddy .php file. This way, if you ever miss a session and you want to, do it yourself or see how I finished and then kind of backtrack by looking at the code, looking at things that were happening, you will have a backup buddy file with everything that I was working on. So you'll get an exact replica of the site that I was working on. And all sessions are recorded and available in the training archive. So Mark, your question about when let me see if I can go back. How do I go back here? It's not letting me. Oh, there we are. So you were just wanting to write down the times. So Thursday is at noon, and Friday is at noon as well. Okay, so how do you get access to the WordPress Dev Camp? And yes, Mike, everybody will get the import buddy and the backup buddy zip file. And so there will actually be several different zip files, because different sites will be in different places, and so I will have kind of exports at that point. So the only way to get access to the WordPress Dev Camp is to be a member of WPStudio. If you haven't seen this or been over there, I would encourage you to head on over to WPStudio. You can learn more about the membership, what it is, the different types of training, the theme, a number of the plugins that I've already released. There's 1 or 2 that are left to get launched. You get access to the biannual Dev Camp. So there's this Dev Camp, and we'll have another one, I believe, end of November, possibly early December. And then access to me. So I will even put this out to anybody in the chat room. If you have found value in the Slack channel that I'm hanging out in all the time, and if you found access to me or the team of community, when I say the team of community, it's all the members that are already active in the Slack channel. That's, I think, a very unique feature, because it is a very active Slack channel. There are 2 ways to gain access. One is a quarterly membership. I understand that for some, the annual membership may be a little bit out of reach. That's okay. I do have a quarterly membership. But What I do want to point out is, guess what? There is, just for looking at the Dev Camp, there is a coupon that's out there for 25% off any of the memberships. And that applies to both quarterly and the annual membership, that you can use this. I believe tomorrow I have an email going out to everyone because I want to put this out there. And again, this may be a little side rant, and you'll see a little bit in this in the blog post tomorrow. I am in disagreement with a number of other major WordPress developers because I no longer believe we should have auto renewals of memberships, of plugins, of anything. I should be doing enough of a job either building the plugins, supporting the plugins, building the membership, providing resources that you should want to renew. But I shouldn't force you by setting auto renewals. So by starting tomorrow, all memberships will not have an auto renewal. So if you want the quarterly, sure, there's 3 months there, and leading up to that membership, you'll have some reminders that here's an opportunity to renew your quarterly membership or to upgrade to the annual membership. If you're on the annual membership, you'll be notified beforehand that, hey, the membership is coming up for renewal. I dislike the growing trend of people forcing auto renewals because we, as freelancers, we get busy. And how many of you have ever woken up and you look at your bank statement and you had no idea a large charge just went through because you forgot about a membership that you had, you forgot about a fee that was there? So I want to help you as freelancers take care of that. And so don't worry if you're signing up for the annual or the quarterly. You'll know that it's that payment, and then you get to choose when you renew. So I hope that will help somebody. That's a policy change that's coming here at WPStudio. Now, I wanted to spend just a moment giving you an example of some of the stuff we're going to be talking about. And that is WPQ Scripts. It's one of the things that I think many people get frustrated with. How do I add scripts, style sheets, whatever, to my theme, to my site? How do I manage all of that? And so, oops, 1 second. Just lost the chat room. There we are. So let's talk very briefly about the secrets of understanding this WPQ Scripts. Regardless of what theme you're using, this would be in the functions.php file of whatever theme you're using. So it's whatever active theme. If your theme has a child theme, it's going to be in the child theme, not the parent theme. If you're using a single theme, it's just going to be in that functions.php file. And there is a hook in WordPress called WPQ Scripts, plural. This is a very important distinction. The WPQ Scripts, the plural, is the hook. It is the location in WordPress, in the code of WordPress, that is waiting for us to add style sheets and JavaScript files. Every single time we add a individual script, JavaScript file, or a style sheet, we either use the singular WPQ style or WPQ script. So that's a big lesson right there, is the plural is the hook. It's the location in the code that we add something to. the individual element is the singular. When we want a style sheet, we use WP underscore and Q underscore style, and we use WP underscore and Q underscore script. Now, just as a basic understanding of why we do it this way, if you look at the header source code of any website, you'll see all the list of style sheets, JavaScript files that you are including in your site. But because WordPress is so modular, you have all the code for WordPress, you have the code from your theme, and you have all the different pieces of code from different plugins. Does anybody know what happens if you load the same JavaScript file multiple times? You're going to have problems. It won't operate properly. Or maybe you install 2 JavaScript files, but they're different versions. So this enables us to add JavaScript files and style sheets without the fear of some other plugin loading their own JavaScript file and destroying whatever JavaScript file we'd be loading. It makes sure that the proper one is loaded, the proper version of jQuery. It loads your version of your JavaScript file, and they're treated individually. And it also makes sure that there is a way to handle, we don't duplicate things. So that's why we use WPQ Scripts. We do not just simply paste a link to the JavaScript file in the header file. It's amazing. I have actually seen some current themes out there that still do this, or at least their instructions from their support team. They still tell people, just paste it into the header area. Now, the questions there just in the chat room, Mike and Marianne, yeah, there'll be plenty of reminders and renewal information, so you won't have to worry about not knowing when your renewal is coming. Okay, so let's talk about the basic part of adding a style sheet. If and a script, a JavaScript file. If we had, I'm just going to make a fake file, test.javascript. This is the FTP directory of my site, of the child theme. I can look here and see the WP script. We have 3 elements, and I'm just going to type them out. We'll call this our handle. Then we have our location. And location, I'm going to also include file name. Then we have our dependencies. Depend. Then we would have our version. If we're starting to look at all of these items. And I'm going to talk about this in just a moment. Oops, where'd it go? Depend. What it depends on, we'd have a version number, and then we'd have where you load. So by using WP&Q script, we can, with this where you load section, we can choose whether we load it in the header of our website or the footer of the website. So let's now break this down and include this test.js file. So the handle is anything that you use to represent that file. For today's little experiment, you don't need to know anything more than this is just your reference. In the future, when you start digging into more advanced code, this handle is used in the dependencies. And maybe I can show you that in just a moment. So the handle is used in the dependencies. Well, let's talk about this location. The location is whatever URL you're using. Some people will put the URL of a JavaScript file that's hosted on a content distribution network, a CDN. You might put it for what is loaded here in the style sheet directory. So that's what we'll do. We'll do get style sheet directory URI. So that's like the location. And in that, we will simply add in test.js. So what this has just done is WordPress knows the location of my style sheet, which is the child theme. It's finding the URI, the direct URL location. And then because this gets me to this location, the blank dash theme directory name, then I just put the name of the file. Now, if this was living in a JavaScript folder, I might do this. So I now have JavaScript test, but that's not where it is. Then we have the dependencies. So let's say we must use jQuery beforehand. In order for to use this JavaScript file, we need jQuery. So in the dependencies, we have jQuery. See how easy that is? We no longer, because this file depends on this, we do not have to declare it. We can simply just say this file depends on jQuery. And since jQuery is auto-bundled with WordPress, WordPress knows what to do. WordPress automatically adds jQuery to the loading of our website, and now we are all set to go. And so jQuery will load before this test.js in the header of our website. And then we have a version number. Again, you can set your version number to whatever you want. Anytime you make changes, you can always update this version number. Part of the reason why you'd have a version number is when you include a version number within the WPQ Scripts concept, WordPress and your website will auto-cache that version. Why? Because style sheets and JavaScript don't have to be reloaded if the browser that has visited your site has already loaded this version. You don't need a caching plugin to do this. By simply adding a version number, most modern browsers will automatically cache the style sheets and the JavaScript. Which means when I make a change, if we leave the version number the same, the browser that visits the site will not go get a new version of this file. So simply by changing the version number, it tells everybody who visits our website, hey, your JavaScript version that you have cached is out of date, so get this new one. It's a great thing to start getting into the habit of adding version numbers to help speed your website. Now, you may not want to keep your version numbers in there while you're developing because we're constantly changing. But when you get ready to launch a site, making sure you have the version numbers is a good way to speed your site up. And then where you load, if we do true, it's going to load in the footer. If we do false, it's going to load in the header. And this is a very basic walkthrough that we can continue to add JavaScript files, style sheets, multiple style sheets. And one of the things we are going to be doing in the dev camp is this next aspect. How many of you are familiar with conditional logic? I would hope most of you at least know that there's conditional logic. And maybe you use widget logic, maybe use another plugin where you're saying is front page or is blog post or is page, something like this. We are going to, during the dev camp, take our knowledge of these things to the next level by saying, okay, if this is how we add JavaScript, one of the frustrations most developers get to the point is, why is my JavaScript that is specifically for this one page loading on every single page of the site. Well, what if you just had if is page and you 63, so now we have a conditional statement that uses the WordPress conditional logic that now this test.javascript will only load if the WordPress site is displaying the page that has the ID 63 on it. Or we could do is front page, add that too. So now we have to have this or this one. Then we will load this. So we'll spend a bit of time during the dev camp taking your knowledge of conditional logic, adding it to other functions in WordPress so that you can customize your site how you want it, and this will also help the speed of your site. Because there's nothing worse than having to load a massive JavaScript file or load all this code from Facebook on your entire website if all you're doing is using it on the contact page. So we'll spend a bit of time doing this, and you don't need a whole plugin to do this. You can do it with literally one line of code. So, the WPStudio WordPress Dev Camp is coming on June 12th through 16th. If you haven't seen the site, there's just a very basic walkthrough of the different sessions, the times, what we're going to cover, whether this is for you. Maybe it's for you, maybe it's not. There is another preview on June 8th, Thursday, where we're going to actually talk about some plugins that are happening. And then also, if you forget what the coupon is, there's a little pop-up there that says Dev Camp 1. That would be 25% off annual and quarterly membership. If you have additional questions, I'd encourage you to spend a little bit of time on the WPStudio.com membership site. If you're not a member, if you're already a member, you can go right now and sign up for those training events by taking a look at the online webinars. Go down there, and again, you can sign up for whatever sessions you want. Click the button and be taken directly there. If you need a different type of payment system and you can't use Stripe or something, please get in touch with me. The easiest way to do that is if you go to the membership page, go down to the bottom. I do have a form that you can fill out. It says not quite sure yet. Fill that out. Let me know if there are, you'd like to use a different system for payment. I can work something out, and we can do that on a one-to-one basis. So I want to thank everybody for hanging out with me. For those of you who are members, don't forget tomorrow we have a webinar on the color wheel, taking control of that. I am going to make this building a resume site available for everybody. It'll just take me just a bit to change some of the registration for this, and then everybody will be able to attend this one on Thursday, June 1st. This way you'll also be able to get to see some of the Voce theme in action. Also, there's another preview. We'll be talking about a few different things with the Dev Camp. I'll be able to show you some of the manual that is coming with the Dev Camp, as well as the starter site, which everybody who's coming to the WordPress Dev Camp will get a starter backup buddy file and an import buddy file, so you'll be able to install your own version, whether it's on a local host or on a dev server, what we're going to be working with. And then you can sign up for those sessions. So thanks everybody for spending your Tuesday early afternoon with me. I hope this has been helpful. Again, if you have any questions, you could always hit me up either on Facebook. You can look up WPStudio and you should get our Facebook page. You can email me, benjamin@WPstudio.com. And I am really excited about this WordPress Dev Camp, and I hope you are too. And again, if you have any questions, please reach out, and I should be able to answer all of them. Take care, everybody, and for you members, I will see you tomorrow in that webinar, or I'll see you in the Slack channel shortly. And for everybody else, hopefully I'll see you on Thursday's free webinar. Take care, everybody.